What's going on, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Take 3 podcast. My name is Brandon, and as always, I'm joined by my co-host Alex here on a Tuesday afternoon. Chiefs don't look great. They win Monday Night Football. They beat Danny Dimes and the New York Giants at home. Not really the Chiefs team we kind of foresaw coming out at home. Both of us, obviously, in the spread picks last week, were pretty comfortable taking Chiefs. I think it was 9.5 was the line, and obviously we saw that. Honestly, it's the Chiefs' offense. Honestly, their offense is really, it's still not clicking. We know what their defense is, but their offense not being able to click and really get it together, kind of is concerning going forward. So I mean, we're sitting here on a Tuesday. How are we feeling coming off of week 8? I mean, big Eagles win. At least we got that to celebrate. We're a running team now. We're no longer a passing team. You know what I mean? Our starting running back goes down, and we just had to run the rock. Great stuff, Sirianni. You're a genius. But yeah, how are you feeling on a Tuesday?
Yeah, it was an interesting weekend of football. It's always a weird one when the Jets win and the Eagles dominate. That doesn't happen very often, especially at the same time. But we got some more clarity in the AFC playoff picture of who's like the top dogs. It's not the guys we really thought going in. It's not the Browns. It's not the Chiefs. The Bills are still there, but it gets a little weird. Titans get a W, but they lose Derrick Henry, so that's weird. So they kind of drop anyway. And then the NFC is getting interesting at the top now too. The Saints lose Jameis. The Winston wagon is over for the year. That makes me very sad. The Cowboys, the Rams, the Bucs is interesting. It's going to be hard to figure out who's the best. And then, of course, Arizona's finally not undefeated anymore. Green Bay stole a road win, and now there's a few teams sitting at 7-1. So it's gonna be interesting to decipher against those elite teams who's like the top dog.
Exactly. Might have to do. We've been doing a lot of what does the top of the AFC look like, as we talked about before this. Maybe it's time for what does the top of the NFC look like? Maybe we'll get into that in just a little bit. But obviously, we have to start off with kind of the freshest news on the slate. Kind of, it's bad news, honestly, for the league as a whole, and kind of especially for the Raiders. Especially coming off the whole John Gruden debacle, you kind of think, hey, we're past this. We can just focus on playing football games. But obviously, late last night, Henry Ruggs was involved in a car accident. I believe he was intoxicated as well because he's being charged with DUI, resulting in a death. So, I mean, how do you feel? How do you react to that news? I don't really know how to react. It's sad to see that another one of these guys, right? These guys in the NFL, they have everything, regardless of what they came up with. They're at a point now in their careers. You sign these contracts, you have everything. But you got to be able to make smart decisions. It's just, I don't even know where to go. Make smart decisions and kind of think about things before you do them. But I mean, how do you react to this? Obviously, it hurts the Raiders bad on the field. I doubt he plays another game this year, I would think.
Yeah, it's a really sad story, man. It's just really one that's incredibly unfortunate. You don't want to see. On the field, the Raiders lose Ruggs. That's a big loss. They got a 5-2 season going on. They already went through the John Gruden debacle. They came out pretty good, at least so far. And then you have another big distraction. That's really not good for the season. And then I just feel for the person involved in the wreck on the other end. It's just, that's horrible. And then you feel for Ruggs. I mean, you got to make better decisions. But it's a young man with all that money in Las Vegas. There's a lot of temptation there. I don't know if, how well I would do in that scenario, especially only being 22. I mean, I'm only in my mid 20s, but I made some poor decisions in my early 20s. So I can't imagine having money in Vegas. So it's hard. You got to surround yourself with smart people that, that just like not let you get yourself in that scenario. If you go out and you get heavily intoxicated, there's no reason you should drive, especially when you have the resources that you do. It's just a really sad story, one you hate to see, especially something that's really avoidable.
Yeah, clearly an avoidable situation. It's kind of ongoing. We got to just keep tabs and see what goes on, what'll happen with obviously his professional status. I believe Dante Stallworth back in the day, he had a similar thing go on where he was charged with DUI manslaughter, and he only served 30 days in jail, I believe it was. So it wasn't a long time, but definitely it's an ongoing story, and it's definitely a sad story for a team in the Raiders who kind of thought they were past the John Gruden stuff and past the whole distractions part of their season, and actually in first place. And now this happens, takes another thing. So it'll be another thing to keep watching with the Raiders coming off a bye week, is how they deal with the distraction of Henry Ruggs not being there most likely. But honestly, let's move on to some football stuff, because obviously that's why we're here. Let's just start it right off. Thursday night, you mentioned it, the only undefeated team in the league, the Arizona Cardinals. Honestly, I'm just going to say it, choked it away. When you look at the team in Green Bay that kind of came to town with no Devontae Adams, no Marquez Valdez-Scantling, no Alan Lazard, was really Aaron Rodgers with a skeleton crew of receivers. It was a Kwame St. Brown, Amari Rodgers, who I think let 5 passes hit him in the face, and it kind of really pissed Aaron Rodgers off. There was obviously the Kyler Murray leaving the game with a sprained ankle, him getting banged up. We don't know how that's going to linger on. I mean, yeah, how do we really make this? How do we really make this out when we were sitting here just last week saying, is it time to start trusting the Cardinals? And then they kind of, the game where they should have won against a bunch of no-name wide receivers for the Green Bay Packers and Aaron Rodgers, they find a way to lose it at home too. It's not like the game was at Lambeau Field. They lose a game where, they should have won. It's just point blank. So they're at 7-1 now. But I mean, what happened was what we were waiting for to happen for a couple of weeks now. To be honest, it finally happened. So how do you make that out?
So every week so far, Arizona has won. They went 7-0, and we keep talking about, well, they had a good start to the season last year, and then Kyler got beat up and the wheels kind of fell off. Well, we're through 8 games. They finally lost. Kyler got beat up a little bit. The wheels fell off slightly. It's only 1 game. They have a long season ahead. They're improved from last year. They're still a very good football team. There's no panic button. You don't freak out or anything, but it does cause some concern, because this is what I've been talking about all year. I am concerned about Kyler making it through a full season healthy, and now they lose J.J. Watt for the year. Right after, when he declared maybe they're just better, he gets hurt. It's real. I hate when you just lose players through injuries, and that it's just so unfortunate, because I want to see the teams at full strength go at each other. But you don't hit the panic button, Arizona will be all right. They'll make the playoffs. They'll get it together. It's going to be interesting to see how they fare against the Rams coming up. And they just had a big trade. We'll talk about that later. But it also felt like a classic Aaron Rodgers game. I felt good about Arizona in the 7 points. Aaron Rodgers doesn't have his weapons, so somehow he goes in there and just is great and elevates his team, and they get a win. Even when he's got guys dropping the ball over and over again and hitting him in the face, which does piss Aaron off. They're not going to get targets in the future. But I mean, I thought it was a really good showing for the Green Bay Packers. Credit Aaron Rodgers, because Green Bay has no business being in that game if it wasn't for number 12. It was all about number 12's greatness on Thursday.
Yeah, for sure. Little technical difficulty in the middle of that little mic cutting out. But yeah, I mean, it was a good win for Aaron Rodgers to go in there with absolutely nobody, and literally nobody, just Aaron Jones and AJ Dillon, who AJ Dillon's a beast, man. He's running guys over. And they really got after Arizona. They really jumped on Kyler Murray right from the get-go. He wasn't really comfortable. And it was just, it's a good win. I mean, I got to sit back though. There's one thing. Aaron Rodgers has to be better with the play clock, man. That guy, I've never seen somebody 17 years in the league below timeouts at the line, and just look over to everybody else and frustrated. It's like, it's on you, man. You've been in the league 17 years now. Like, get the play, and you don't see it happen to Tom Brady. You don't see it happen to other veteran quarterbacks. So let's get that ironed out, especially a delay a game at the 6-inch line. I don't know what to say. Getting a little cute too, man. He tried to fit one in. They got a pass interference, got lucky, but I mean, they motioned Randall Cobb across the set, have him in the flat. I don't know why you don't just hand the rock off 4 times from the 1-yard line, but I'm not LaFleur. But yeah, that's the only thing I really see on the Packers side. Clean that up. Aaron Rodgers has to, and he's done it for years now, to be honest. I've noticed it for quite a couple of years now, at least, him just blowing timeouts, and to not have timeouts down the stretch of a ball game is crazy. But yeah, I'm with you with Arizona as well. Don't hit the panic button. Obviously, they lost J.J. Watt for the year, but we got to see how Kyler's situation goes with the ankle. We got to see how that heals up going into a divisional game. Obviously, sprained ankle is not going to heal quick, but we got to see how they manage it, how Cliff Kingsbury will dial the offense up and kind of maybe not try to have him move around as much, maybe make him more of a pocket passer, but then that takes away from their offense, because Kyler doing things with the legs is what makes him so special as a quarterback. But I wouldn't be hitting the panic button just yet if I'm Arizona. And Green Bay definitely trending up, getting everybody back. Literally stealing a game is what I consider it.
I was 100% stolen. I was just going to say Aaron Rodgers likes to get cute. He's extremely talented and he knows he is. So he does some things he probably shouldn't do. But it tends to work out for him.
Yeah, what I mean, it works out. It definitely, yeah, it works out. If we're not in the NFC title game, it surely works out. But yeah, let's keep it rolling. I mean, good W, and then we'll jump straight into a Monday Night Football. Obviously, we seem to talk about the Chiefs every week, but they're a topic that you have to talk about. A team that's been in the Super Bowl the past 2 years and how they've looked through 8 ball games. They come out, they beat Daniel Jones and the Joe Judge Giants on Monday Night Football in Arrowhead. As I mentioned when we opened up, we were both pretty confident them -9.5, basically to come out and just smoke the heads off of the Giants. I thought it was pretty done deal once I realized the game was at Arrowhead, and then we kind of got we didn't get that. We kind of got the Giants being able to linger around. Daniel Jones 2 touchdowns and a pick. Them just kind of do enough, and then it's really once again the Chiefs offense. Not looking great. No real run game. I mean, Tyreek Hill kind of got his feast a little bit, 12 catches, 94 yards and a touchdown, but it's still that Chiefs offense. I mean, it still doesn't look great. Patrick Mahomes 29-48 on the passing. I mean, is there any, even though you come out of a game with a win and you're not 4-4, it's hard to really look upwards when you think about the Kansas City Chiefs still. Would you agree?
I would agree. I mean, I'm not leaving Monday night game really that encouraged with the Chiefs. They're just a disappointment compared to what we thought they were going to be. They're fighting for a wild card spot. That's the realistic place for this team right there. They're not competing for a Super Bowl. They're clearly a step below the elite AFC teams. And if I'm going to be positive here, I would say the Chiefs ran the ball a little bit better, but more importantly, they changed the game plan offensively. It wasn't just big plays here and there. Tyreek Hill had a lot of short yardage catches. He finished with 12 catches for 94 yards, an average of 7.8. Usually you see him like 5-6 catches for 94 yards. So like that there was finally adjustments and the offensive game plan was different, but it's just there's holes on this roster and Mahomes can only do so much.
Yeah, it's crazy that the O-line literally got worse. They added to the O-line and it literally got worse. Yeah, I mean, the Chiefs, that's what you really got to do, right? You got the speed. Like, just get the ball in Hardman and Tyreek Hill's hands and let their speed and shiftiness do something. You don't always have to bomb it downfield. They can make guys miss. They're that dynamic and that special that they can make plays out of nothing. It seems crazy, but yeah, the Chiefs, it's hard to really look up. I mean, 20-17, a 3-point dub over the Giants, who I mean, we know what the Giants are, right? We've known what the Giants are for the past 5 years. Not great. And then you look at the Chiefs, just the schedule coming up. They play the Packers at home this week. Then they go on the road to play the Raiders, and then they play the Cowboys. So, I mean, it doesn't get easier, right? They're going into kind of 4-4, sitting 500, as you said. Yeah, they're chasing a wild card spot, and they kind of need to they need to win every game. They kind of can't afford to let games slip away, and they're gonna have their work cut out for them when the Packers come to town this weekend for sure with a full complement of weapons. They won't get that kind of Kyler Murray Arizona Cardinals luck where nobody is there. So yeah, I mean, it's hard to. I'm not buying any stock of the Chiefs after a close Monday Night Football W.
Well, also Green Bay comes to town on 10 days rest while Kansas City played Monday night. So it's just, all signs are going against the Chiefs.
Yep, all signs are going against the Chiefs, and this is where they'll come out and win by 30, and we'll all sit there and be like, we'll be like, wow. But yeah, I mean, realistically, I do not expect that to happen. Let's move on. Game 3, that's really to talk about, a big one in the afternoon. Once again, the Saints improved to 3-0 against Tom Brady when he wears that Tampa Bay Bucs jersey. They win 36-27. Really defended home field. It didn't seem like Tampa really had the A game from the rip. New Orleans was kind of doing their thing. They were playing the defensive football, smart football, not having Jameis do too much when he was out there. Obviously, he went down with the knee injury, and obviously we know now it's a torn ACL. And then they kind of got Trevor Siemian in there, and they said, yeah, we're going to pound the rock. We get Mark Ingram. He makes his return with 6 carries. They get 19 more out of Alvin Kamara, and they're really relying heavy on that defense. And it worked when the Bucs, when you roll into the Superdome and you kind of don't have your A game, it gets dicey. And the Saints moved to 5-2, and then obviously the Bucs now drop to 6-2. Yeah, what'd you see here? It was kind of, I mean, I'm still not really going to sell any stock in the Bucs. We know what the Bucs are, but as long as Tom Brady's there, it was just 1A. They didn't have the A game, and it cost them in the end.
Yeah, for real quick for the Tampa Bay side, you just keep doing what you do. They didn't play a great game. They know that they could be better, and they're going to be better. Nothing to panic about if you're Tampa Bay. New Orleans, they're a defensive football team now. Even I think the last couple of years where Drew Brees kind of his arm strength kind of fell off and he couldn't make the same throws. They relied heavily on the defense, and they've done it all year with the exception of that weird outlier Green Bay beat down to open the season. I don't know where the Saints team, how good they'll be moving forward. I don't know if they can get a good game out of Trevor Siemian every week, especially when teams are going to game plan for him. And I don't know the Taysom Hill situation. I don't know when he's supposed to be back. They did lose Jameis for the year. Makes me sad. Jameis finishes with just under 1,200 yards, 14 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. I bet no one would have believed, or 3 interceptions, excuse me. I bet no one would have believed that if I told them that at the start. But, I mean, he went 5-2 if you include this game, 4-2. So I don't want to, it's hard for me to say I was correct because it's only part of a season. Like, it's a small sample size, so that's pretty disappointing. The Saints, they have the ability to be a wild card team still. I thought that at the beginning of the year with Jameis. I'm just worried about Trevor Siemian week to week. I don't know. I'm hoping Taysom Hill comes back. I honestly don't know that situation. But if I'm the Saints, enjoy this victory off the Bucs and just try to put together offensive game plans the best you can, because you're going to rely on that defense, you're going to rely on the run game, and then you just need your quarterback to really just not make mistakes, just execute enough, because that's their only real path to winning football games.
Yeah, it's a crazy world when we're wishing for when we're wondering when Taysom Hill is going to make his long-awaited return to the Saints. That's how we know we're in a crazy world. But yeah, I mean, I got to give the Saints respect. They came out and they played. Obviously, they forced turnovers. They forced 2 picks out of Tom Brady. The last one was I'd say an egregious throw. But yeah, they did their thing. I mean, they came out, defended home field. They seemed to somehow have Tom Brady's number when he plays for the Bucs. But yeah, I'm with you. It's a week to week thing. You got to see how they're going to game plan. I mean, if you have Trevor Siemian out there, you got to know the teams are going to stack the box and dare Trevor Siemian to beat you over the top or beat you at all through the air. And they're not going to let Alvin Kamara just run the rock. But if the defense can keep doing their thing, forcing turnovers and making it a hell of a time for opposing quarterbacks, then the team can still, they can still squeak out a wild card. I don't know. It's going to be extremely difficult. I don't know how much better Taysom Hill will be. It's kind of it sounds weird for me to say, but they're going to maybe miss Jameis Winston. Like he was playing good football this year for what Sean Payton was asking of him. He was doing the job, and it sucks to see him go out like that. And I guess I could say I was wrong. I mean, he didn't really have the full air it out. This wasn't the Jameis Winston I expected or the game plan I expected. But hey, he got the job done. They're 5-2 moving forward. And for the Bucs, I'm just wondering when Todd Bowles is going to dial up anything, or if he's just going to run soft ass zone coverage every week and just kind of let those DBs get burnt. Like eventually you got to do something, right? Eventually you got to change the scheme up and send some heat, do a little bit, because you just see your guys on an island. You're throwing guys like Pierre Desir out there. You're begging Richard Sherman to come back off a hammy. It's not going to get better in the secondary for them. And yeah, I mean, I'm not panicking because they have the GOAT, they have Tom Brady back there, but their defense is kind of concerning if they don't start dialing something up. I mean, we saw them super effective last year when they were getting after the quarterback. They kind of need that, and they're kind of lacking that, especially with the secondary injuries. Obviously, I think Sean Murphy-Bunting, I don't know if he's came back, but he will be back at some point. I don't think he's came back yet, but he should be back. At some point in the season. But yeah, that's all the really the concern out of the Bucs for me is when they're going to kind of change the philosophy and maybe send those linebackers and attack the quarterback a little bit more instead of those standard 4-man rushes that kind of aren't doing it right now.
Do you think they're not dialing it up simply because it's still a regular season, and then in postseason we're going to see them dial it up quite a bit, or do you think it's just like they're just kind of struggling as a unit right now?
Yeah, I don't know. They're just not doing it. I mean, we know how beat up and bad the secondary is. Yeah, I don't know what Todd Bowles' reasoning for not sending some blitzes, kind of changing it up. I mean, it's whether it's the regular season or not. You're now 6-2. The Saints are 5-2. It's like, I mean, now's the time. What are we? Are we not gonna blitz Trevor Siemian? Are we just gonna let him sit back there? Like, I guess you could say that, but I mean, that wouldn't be my reasoning. I don't know. I guess they're kind of just chilling. They're like, shit, Tom Brady will bail us out, right? I mean, he almost bailed him out. You kind of, it's weird for that team when he has the ball in his hands to make a drive. It's kind of like, shit, all right, we did our job. Like, we got Tom the ball with 2 minutes to make a run at this thing, and he'll eventually, he'll get it done, right? And it just didn't work out like that on Sunday. Moving forward, kind of, I guess it's kind of the real shocker of the day. We had the New York Football Jets minus Zach Wilson. They got a first ballot Hall of Famer now, Mike White, out there throwing for 400 yards. Super efficient day. I think he was like 37 to 45, three touchdowns, 2 picks, obviously, but I mean, 400 yards. What can you say? It's kind of a week where we're buying into the Bengals from last week. They dominate the Ravens. And we're like, yeah, dude, maybe the Bengals are in this thing. Maybe they're in this thing. And then they come out this week and they just lay an absolute egg. They lose 34-31 to the Jets. Rest in peace to my guy Blaine's survivor picks. He rolled his last 2 picks on the Bengals. And let's just say, in our Discord during the game, he was not a happy camper with Joe Burrow, Zach Taylor, and those guys. I mean, one note, they kind of got screwed at the end with there was like a helmet to helmet. Ty Johnson clearly lowered his helmet into the DB, and they get a 15-yard, and it obviously ends the game. That was kind of garbage. It was clear cut that the running back lowered it in and created the head-to-head hit. But I mean, what do you make of this? It's a team we were buying into last week after they beat the hell out of the Ravens, and then they go out and lose to the New York Jets. I mean, what do we make of the Bengals now?
This was definitely the most disappointing game of the weekend, result-wise. Good for Mike White and the Jets. Like, good for them. They get a win, 400 yards. No one likes losing all those games. It's a young group. That's something they can build on. For the Bengals, I believe last week on the podcast, after they beat up on the Ravens, I said they have arrived. They're part of the top AFC teams. We got to at least consider them in the discussion. They have expectations now. 1 week later, when I decide that they have expectations, they lose to the New York Jets. Not a great performance at all. The Jets notched their second win of the season, and it's just disappointing. I felt like the Bengals spent their week like reading the headlines and feeling like they are number one and that they already won when they like really were just on top for 1 week. The 1 seed did not last long for them. The Bengals will bounce back. I'm sure this will be a really good learning lesson as the team gets older. Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase get older in their career, and they'll look back on this and remember times like this, but definitely a learning lesson for them because they had no business losing this football game on Sunday.
Yeah, I don't know what to say. I mean, the Bengals, they shit the bed. That's the only way really to sit back and look at it. I'm not really mad at Joe Burrow. I mean, he was 21 to 34, 259, 3 touchdowns and a pick. I think the guy you got to look at is Zach Taylor. Run the damn football, right? How does Joe Mixon, premier back in the league, only get 14 carries for 33 yards when you're up 31 to 20 towards the end? Yeah, fourth quarter, you're up 31-20. It's like, does it ever not cross your mind that, hey, maybe we should run the football and play we should play the clock, right? Control. We're up against the New York Jets. Like, everybody beats this team. All we got to do is run the ball, slow it down. And I mean, I didn't get to watch this live, but I would assume they went with the same spread bullshit. And that's what happens. I mean, you got to have better play calling. I don't know how Joe Mixon only gets 14 carries in a game where you're leading. You would figure that you would pound the rock and really run the clock, especially when your defense is kind of struggling all day, right? The Jets were kind of able to put up numbers with ease. Obviously, Mike White throws for 400 yards on your defense. I mean, maybe you got to scheme the defense around how to beat Mike White instead of Lamar Jackson, but hey, we'll see. The Bengals are you got to knock them down. You lose to the Jets, got to knock them off that pedestal that they were on last week. I don't know. Yeah, they're a weird team. Like last week, I would have said, yeah, they can win a playoff game. This week, I don't know if they could win a playoff game. We will see going forward, but yeah, I'm with you. Probably the most disappointing result of the weekend, I would say.
The Bengals are definitely capable of winning a playoff game. It's just like with when we were talking New Orleans pre-Winston injury, it's like it's hard with these teams that have such Jackal and Hyde performances because you never know which football team's actually showing up on Sunday.
Yeah, it's facts. But the thing about the Saints is I trust Sean Payton. I don't trust Zach Taylor, right? Get Zach Taylor in the playoffs. Like Zach Taylor couldn't even game plan the last 10 minutes of a New York Jets game. Like, am I really going to trust him to beat, I don't know, whatever team that had faced in the wild card round, or is he going to spread it out at 14 and try to air raid like he's playing at like it's LSU. Like I don't know, but I mean, we'll see. They're definitely capable, right? Yeah, I shouldn't say they're not capable, but I don't know. I don't trust. I trust Burrow. I love Chase. Don't trust Zach Taylor in the plays.
That's a good point too, because most likely every coach he goes up against in the AFC playoffs is going to have more experience than him.
Exactly. Yeah. It's like you're up against it when you get into to playoffs. It's not going to be amateur hour. It's not going to be Robert Saleh in the playoffs, right? You're going to have to know what you're doing. So I mean, we got to sit back. But yeah, we just got to see what the Bengals do. How do they come back from laying an egg, as we would say. But I mean, it's weird football league. Moving forward, another team that kind of laid an egg for coming off a bye, really two eggs in a row, I believe it was for the Chargers. Yeah, the Chargers, they come out of the bye week, let the Patriots come across the country and give it to them. They beat them 27-24. Patriots kind of, what are they sitting at now? They're 4-4. They've kind of positioned themselves weirdly like back into this thing. The Chargers sitting out 4-3, a team that we were super high on with Justin Herbert. And those guys this week, Herbert comes out 223 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 picks. And then Mac Jones, I guess he literally just, it was another heavy Damian Harris play the defense game. Mac Jones, 18 of 35, 218 and no touchdowns, no picks. This is another one that I did not get to watch, but I know in the spread picks I was heavy. I thought it was a sure thing. The Chargers at home coming off the bye week would be able to beat Mac Jones. And they didn't do it. So I mean, how do we look at the Chargers now? They're another team that like we were taking them serious 2 weeks ago. They lose to the Ravens, bye week, lose to the Patriots. Where do we sit with the Chargers right now?
Yeah, this 3-week stretch, because with the bye in the middle, obviously worries me. If they lost to if the Chargers lost to the Patriots or the Ravens, if they had one of those performances, it'd be like, okay. But both of them is concerning, especially at home post bye week. Yes, it's Bill Belichick and that defense who game plans very, very well. As Mike Williams, he loves to take away the favorite toy. Mike Williams was not very effective at all. But the Chargers are such a dynamic offense. They need to be better. Like they have no business losing that football game at home after a bye week. If maybe they had that Browns win the week before, how we talked about that was an emotional victory. It's going to linger. It's a little more understanding, but not off a bye week. Like that's when you really should have all your ducks in a row and you come out firing on all cylinders. So that was pretty concerning for me to see, to be honest, because that with extra preparation and rest, that's when you should really be playing well. And it's at home. I don't know. The Chargers worry me. They're number 2 in the AFC West. They're sitting at 4-3. I thought they were maybe a top 3 team in the AFC. They've slid down. The Browns have slid down. The Chiefs have slid down. The AFC's the Bills and I like the Bills and the Ravens. The Bengals slid down too. So like, I don't know, a lot of these top teams, it's been hard for them to be consistent for the whole year. So this definitely worries me for the Chargers. They can fix it. Obviously they're still a very good team, but not a good performance at all. And good for the New England Patriots because they are firmly in a race for the wild card and they're a good enough team to get a wild card spot. So that's going to be interesting as well.
Exactly. And then the Chargers, I mean, it's coming off a bye week, but it's another team with a rookie head coach, right? They're these rookie head coaches, young head coaches have never been in that spotlight. It's kind of, super Jekyll and Hyde, not a great week out of Justin Herbert and those guys. And you end up 4-3 coming off a bye, not something we really expected. And it kind of leaves those two, as you mentioned, sitting at the top, the Bills and the Ravens, who I'd probably trust the most. And when you look at them both, John Harbaugh and Sean McDermott, 2 guys that have kind of been around the block and guys you can trust. And then the Chargers, they head on the road across the country to face the most dangerous 3-5 team this week, the Philadelphia Eagles. And the work doesn't get easier. No, I'm kidding.
Yes, sir.
They'll come out and wax us. But I mean, they're another team you got to sit and see how they rebound. You would hope if you're a Chargers fan, you come out and you just beat the brakes off of the Eagles in Philly and you make it look easy and get the ship back steaming. But I mean, you got to see.
The young head coach point is a really good point because the thing about the Chargers and the Bengals, the previous team that disappointed, also in the AFC that we just talked about, young coaches, young quarterbacks. So as disappointing as these results are, definitely good lessons to learn from for these teams moving forward and for future seasons, not just this year.
Exactly. Yeah, it's yeah. So I mean, we'll see how the Chargers come back. We would expect they find a way to beat the Eagles this coming week and get the shit back on. But hey, we'll see how it goes. Moving on, really the final topic that I have is Sunday night football. Maybe another shocker when you look at no Dak Prescott. Right, the second Dak Prescott was scratched, I was like, honestly, I wasn't, because I was like, here's where Kirk Cousins will find a way to lose. And I mean, what do? They end up losing 20-16 to Cooper Rush and the Dallas Cowboys. Pretty embarrassing if you're a Vikings fan. I really don't know, any other way to put it. I mean, Mike Zimmer seems to find ways to lose games that you really shouldn't. They lose a bunch. They lose like every close game they're in. They're now sitting at 3-4. Cowboys jump up to 6-1. It's a huge win if you're a Cowboys fan, right? A game you're missing Dak that they're just throwing in the towel, really, when you look at it, throwing Cooper Rush out there on Sunday Night Football. The Cowboys were almost willing to say, hey, we'll lose this week to preserve Dak and really live the fight another week, right? Keep him healthy and we'll keep it rolling. And it was really a shot for Kirk Cousins and the Vikings to move the 4-3, really get climbing back up in the standings and kind of make that push towards a wild card spot. I mean, what do we say about the Vikings? How do you feel? It's what the Vikings do. It's what Kirk Cousins teams do. Yeah, thanks, Kirk. I really thought when I picked you guys last week, you guys would do something, but I mean, I was wrong. So I mean, yeah, what do we look at with the Vikings and Cowboys that kind of positioned themselves well, stealing this another one where they really stole a game on the road.
Yeah, the Cowboys winning this game and then covering the spread on top of that was extremely lucky for me. I picked it thinking Dak will play, and if he plays, he'll be efficient enough. This was a very pleasant covering of the spread for me, but conflicting because I'm not a Cowboys guy at all. I do not like seeing them win, but good for them. This is another disappointing outcome for a team coming off a bye, like we just talked about with the Chargers. I think Mike Zimmer has clearly ran his course in Minnesota. His peak year was an NFC Championship appearance against the Eagles. No shame in that. That was a damn good year. But Minnesota just needs new coaching, just some new life to reinvigorate this team. Because they had a really good defense for a few years, and then the offense got really good and the defense got poor, and they were hoping it would get fixed and eventually get put together. And at times the last couple of years with Kirk Cousins, they looked good. They won a wild card game. They were a divisional team. They made the playoffs a couple of times, but that seems to be the ceiling, right? The divisional round, a wild card win, and you're kind of stuck in purgatory. And now the wheels might be falling off. They might not be. They're around 500. They could turn around and at best make the playoffs and be a wild card team. But once again, then you're still stuck in purgatory. So if I'm Minnesota, it might be time to lock up some key pieces and then think of maybe getting a new coaching staff and trying to rebuild. I think they're almost off the Kirk Cousins contract. If I think it's a year or maybe two left after this one. So that's not that long of a commitment as well. So Minnesota's got some question marks for sure. But to me, watching this game, it's like a tell of Dallas's defense and how impressive that they are as a unit and a team. You have no business winning a game on the road, Sunday Night Football, after that team had a bye week without your star quarterback. Yes, they have very good key pieces offensively still, and they were able to get it done, but it just speaks to me and how good this defense is this year. We came in to this season talking about if the defense is going to be really good, then this team is a legit contender, and they're a legit contender, which brings us to the conversation at the top of the NFC because then it gets crowded, but Dallas is certainly right there.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you basically hit the nail on the head. Yeah. I think this is it for Mike Zimmer. He will be canned after the year. Yeah, he has no shot at staying. And then, yeah, they got 1 year left on Kirk Cousins' deal. It's fully guaranteed. So he will be there regardless. They're not going to take the $50 million hit to cut him. Yeah, Kirk's really a finesse legend, man. He really robbed the Vikings of $150 million. Like it was nothing. I don't even think if they made the playoffs once with Kirk Cousins since he's went there. I don't believe so. I don't think maybe they made one playoff appearance, but I think they fell short every year since he came there. And yeah, it was the Cowboys stole one. The Vikings lose another piece. Danielle Hunter tore his pec in that game. He's done for the year. So I mean, when you look at it, I don't know where the Vikings where the Vikings go. They don't have the defense that they had in the Case Keenum years, the 2017 year. They're kind of at a loss. It might be time to just punt, but you kind of can't punt because you have all these guys, Justin Jefferson, Adam Thielen, Harrison Smith, Eric Kendricks. You kind of have guys that it's like if they can somehow string something together and win a couple ball games, they could be right in the wild card picture. But yeah, it really seems like this entire Mike Zimmer, Kirk Cousins era has just been nothing but missed opportunity. And if you're a Vikings fan, you got to be pretty disappointed, right? Kirk Cousins came to town. You thought it was a clear upgrade. He's the guy that'll push you a little bit further if you made an NFC title game with Case Keenum, and he hasn't done it. But then, yeah, on the other side, the Cowboys stealing a win to move up to 6-1. Super impressive. They should get Dak back coming forward. It's always good. I was kind of concerned him coming out anyway and playing. It's like there's no point in rushing it because we know if he tries to force one thing. I mean, we've seen guys that have tried with calf injuries. We saw Kevin Durant. Obviously different sport, but it's kind of the same thing. If you're going to try and move and plant off that calf, we know what that can turn into, eventual Achilles. So I actually like the Cowboys' decision to kind of play it cautious and trust their defense to go out and attack a team that finds ways to lose on the road on Sunday Night Football. And get the job done. So good win for the Cowboys. Sucks no Trayvon Diggs interception. He couldn't keep the streak going. It sounds weird for me to root for him to get interceptions as an Eagles fan, but just a great story. It's good to see stats get put up. I like to see records get broken, and that did not happen this week.
Which is funny because if I was going to guess a game where he would have gotten an interception, it would have been against Kirk Cousins in prime time.
Exactly. We kind of expect that. It's once again the Kirk Cousins primetime thing. He hasn't been great in primetime throughout his career, but it's weird. Yeah, he kind of doesn't turn the rock over, and they still lose games. So that's really it for the slate. Any other things that surprise you? I guess we can talk about it now. Devon Miller. Big Von Miller news obviously happened yesterday. They send the rest of their draft picks. The Los Angeles Rams send their second and third round pick from 2022 to Denver. They secure edge rusher Von Miller. Should bolster them. I mean, they're kind of now they were already all in, but now they're all in. Like now it's either you win or you win it all, or everything's gonna come crashing down. Obviously, when you send this amount of draft picks out, it's gonna come crashing down at some point anyway. But what better year? I mean, the league's wide open. It's it's time to swing at this thing, and they're kind of doing it. What do you make of Von Miller? That was really the only big deadline move happening in the NFL as a whole.
Yeah, I love it. Really aggressive move. They're definitely a contender. They're one of the top teams. They're going all in, and it's great because they've already done that. They don't have many draft picks anyway. Why not go all in? You have the roster to win now. It's very rare to win a Super Bowl. You go all in. So I love that the front office is aggressive. They've been aggressive since Sean McVay's gotten there. So shout out to the Rams. It brings me to the discussion and the question of like, how would you rank the top NFC teams? Who would you put like 1 through 5? Because it's pretty tight up there.
Yeah. For me right now, I'd probably go. I'm gonna go Packers. I'm going Aaron Rodgers. I don't know why I'm trusting Aaron Rodgers. Yeah, he kind of proved me wrong this week in Arizona. I'm going Packers, Rams, Bucs, Cowboys. I don't even know who would another team be on that totem pole. That's kind of like
Arizona.
Oh, Arizona. Wow, I forgot about them. But Arizona's trending down for me, to be honest, a little bit because of Kyler Murray's injury. I don't know. Sprained ankles linger. I don't know how they're going to look. And the other teams look good. Obviously, week to week in the NFL rankings kind of shift. But if I'm sitting here today, that's kind of where I would go.
I'm there with you. I really like that. I got to put the Bucs number 1. I understand they're 6-2. They are not number 1 record wise, and the Rams have beaten them. But it's hard to bet against the GOAT. We talked about the secondary issues, but it always comes down to like, do you want to bet against Tom Brady in the playoffs? I never really do. So I would still put the Bucs 1. I think the Rams are 2. I still believe that's our NFC championship game. And I think I would put probably either Green Bay or Dallas 3rd. And I might actually slide it to Dallas with healthy Dak because Dallas has been so impressive. So I'd put Dallas 3rd, and I'll give Green Bay the credit because they just beat Arizona. I'd put them 4th and Arizona 5th. But man, those are like really splitting hairs. It's tough.
Yeah, it gets close. I don't know. I'm kind of betting against the GOAT at this point, but I don't know. It's a week to week thing. So, right. It's like Tom Brady comes out and lights it up. Hey, we'll slide them back up there. Show me something. Tampa is the way I'm saying. I was impressed with Aaron Rodgers and the gutsiness of the Packers. And yeah, the Rams are they're the most complete team, to be honest. I respect them swinging for the fences. Obviously, they get Matt Stafford. He's not getting any younger. So, I mean, it's time. You got a 2 or 3 years, really, probably 2 or 3 years to really run at this thing. Closer to 2, to be honest, this year and next, I would say, to really run at this thing. And they're really doing it. Any kind of other games to touch on before we kind of touch on the how the spread picks went, where we're looking at after that, after 8 weeks?
The only other game I think is worth mentioning at all was the Colts Titans went to overtime. And it's kind of what you expect always. Every time we talk about the Indianapolis Colts, it's the run game. Jonathan Taylor, Carson Wentz is looking better, but still made key mistakes and turnovers, and then they gave it away, and the Titans squeaked out in overtime. The real news of that game is now they have no Derrick Henry, so now Tennessee gets all cloudy. They signed Adrian Peterson. He's 36, obviously not the same anymore. So that becomes interesting. And then the Browns were a letdown. They let the Steelers win. And I've been adamant against betting against the Steelers this year, and that one bit me in the butt this week.
Yeah, exactly. It's kind of what you come to expect out of the Baker Mayfield Browns. He's they haven't been great since he's kind of been banged up and more banged up. And then you mentioned a big one, Carson Wentz, shout out, man, way to not throw the ball away and just throw a free gift 6 to the Titans. That's a genius football. Keep on track though. I mean, I think he's at 98% of the snaps. Keep playing each week. Don't get hurt. I wish you the best. Keep getting those games in so we can cash that first round pick. And the Titans, I mean, they're another team now you got to watch. No Derrick Henry probably for the rest of the year. That puts kind of a damper in what they usually do on offense. We know what they like to do. And I don't know if you're going to be able to do that with Adrian Peterson at age 36. He seems to think he can, though. There was like a highlight I saw him in his Vikings days. He runs over a Steelers guy. He said he can still do it. So, I mean, hey, we'll see. We'll see with the committee, because I'm assuming it's going to be a running back committee in Tennessee now. And it's more pressure on Ryan Tannehill. You know what I mean? They go out and get Julio, couple him with A.J. Brown. It's time for Ryan Tannehill to earn his bucks, I would say, with no Derrick Henry.
It'd be cool to see Peterson turn back the clock on a game or two, get him a little bit higher on the yardage list.
Exactly. I think he needs, I forget how much he needs, but he needs, I think it's like 3,000 something to pass Emmitt Smith. Obviously, that's a stretch. He's very close to cracking into the top 5, though, I believe. Let's kind of move into the last order of business on the recap. We'll go to the Week 8 spread picks. Obviously, you hold on to that top spot, 58, 55, and 1. I had a 5 and 9 week, puts me at 53, 60 and 1. And John has a 6 and 8 week as well, puts him at 54, 59 and 1. So I went from first to the basement in a 2-week stretch. Solid. Shout out to the Dolphins. You were just so close. Like, just don't let up a touchdown. They lose by 15. Screw them guys. And obviously the Cardinals doing their thing. Cardinals and Vikings, those hurt, to be honest. Same with the Colts. I don't expect Carson Wentz to give away points. There's a lot of games, I mean, that I picked that kind of, they went sideways. But anything for you that kind of you're happy with? Obviously the Bills 14.5 is a nice one. And any ones that you're kind of upset with? We're all on that Jags train, never doing that again.
Yeah, that was the first thing I was going to say. Jacksonville is so bad. I should have known to never bet on them. Geno Smith, gosh, the Seahawks with Geno Smith dominate them. That was extremely disappointing. But honestly, I can't complain. I'm lucky to be 6 and 8 this week. The Cowboys, the Saints, the Titans, and the Bills weren't looking good at one point. So I'll take 6 and 8 for this week. Not a great week, but it could have been way worse. I got out alive. Still above 500 slightly.
Exactly. Yeah, you're sitting the only guy above 500. The spread picks, they're kind of rigged. You know what I mean? They're kind of rigged this week. I don't know. A lot of teams not taking care of business. And it was really like a swing of things. Like a couple of things go a different way. And it could have been a lot different. Anything else on the slate before we really wrap this up and get out of here?
No, not really. I think that's it. The Browns were disappointing, and then a lot of disappointments this week. Nothing else really to add. On to the next week, ready for a fresh start.
Exactly. No more Jaguars again. I don't care what they are. I'm never picking them again. Sadly, I don't know. But that'll be for the preview, because they play Thursday night. So we'll kind of dive into that. That's going to do it for today's show. I want to thank everyone for listening. Please like, subscribe, and comment if you have any suggestions, as we'd always love to hear your opinion. As always, Spotify link will be posted in the description of the video for audio only listeners. And thanks for listening, and we'll see you on the week 9 preview.